Hey, welcome, dear Cancer. Hi, this is Lumination with your June 2017 general reading, okay? And it's for you, Cancer. Now, don't forget, read for your sun and moon and rising, all three, okay? Just to get the bigger, broader picture, because sometimes these readings might sound like nonsense otherwise, okay? So here we go. I'm going to keep it really, really simple, almost nothing to do with any astrology except for the fact that everybody seems to measure themselves by their sun sign. Anyway, uh, this is real bare bones, stripped down tarot, okay? I don't do any flyers or jumpers or qualifiers. I don't do reversals. There's no oracles to back it all up, no multi-layering or anything like that. So, and we're going totally blind. I'm trying to go big and broad and wide. Focus on the energy, come from the heart, okay? Instead of like a textbook reading, so to speak. And don't worry, this is general, but we will be doing love and relationship as well, okay? So hang in. That's going to be probably next week. But it'll get there, all right? So hang in, dear Cancer. So, let's have a look. Okay, I was already shuffling well in advance, but I like to take it up to the very last second. So we do have a clean deck and the energy is really, really dispersed, okay, and clear. All right, so here we go. We're going to leave it at that, and we're going to cut, keeping it very balanced at the moment right now. Let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. We'll just spell it out as we go along, okay? So hang in. This is the kind of general vibe, all right? Just a general vibe. And here's like where you're coming from out of May, earlier in the year, heading into June, okay? And here's where we are now, like the ever-present now, as we unfold through June. And here's where we're heading into June. So already the little journey is starting to like build up momentum, and we're getting a glimpse. So in everyone's best interest, how do we best move forward with all of that energy? And as the momentum picks up, what exactly is the energy that you have attracted to yourself? Or what is the energy that seems to be just appearing out of nowhere and landing in your lap? Always just remember, you still have a high degree of participation in creating your own destiny, your own outcomes, whether you know it or not. So please be aware, and I take that into account when we do the readings, okay? So as you move forward, as you become more and more starkly aware that you are very much a participant in your own unfolding, then the energy of your hopes and your fears come up simultaneously, because they're almost the same thing. Like, I hope, I wish, I wish, and I'm scared if not, if not, if not, if not. It's understandable. We all are, because as soon as you start moving forward from here, then by definition, you're facing the unknown, where there is risk, where there is reward. But nothing happens unless you commit to your own evolution and you decide to move forward anyway, regardless of the risk. And this is where it all seems to be heading, moving on, moving forward, okay? And can you see I'm trying to do like a little shape of a heart, trying to do a heart reading here? Does that make sense? I know it's not perfect, but I'm trying to infuse the energy with love, okay? And then underneath, like a lot of people like to see this. Oh my gosh. I think it was just the general weather, so to speak. Like what's outside the front door as you wake up in the morning and you're rubbing your eyes and you're just looking around like, what's going on, people? And you haven't even had time to like check in with the news or the weather anyway. You're just like checking it by your own, radar, your own senses, your own antenna. And what's going on? Look, dear Cancer, what is going on with you? Please remember, this is not a love reading, okay? But without question, the energy of love in the purest sense is on your horizon. Let's just put it that way. It's like a priority, either consciously or unconsciously. The energy of pure love, as you would experience, like almost like an innocent child, just looking around you, uh, and like how children do, Children are remarkably resilient, like even in the worst conditions, they can somehow find a way to like giggle and laugh through it all. And we're talking about that kind of purity, like simple, the simplest, purest, most like blessed love there is. Like no conditions, nothing. I'm not talking about heavy marriages or boyfriend, girlfriend stuff. I'm just talking about the pure energy of love. Okay? It's around you. Okay? Lucky you, Cancer. Lucky you. Wow. So what's the vibe? What's the vibe in that? Oh, heartache, desperate fear of heartache. It is a question. In other words, how could you have two such contradictory energies happening simultaneously? Look at that. All the joy and the beauty and the love, and all the potential pain and grief and sorrow that comes from the absence of this, or the betrayal of this, or the loss of this. So you're facing in a very innocent, tender way, dear, dear Cancer, heading into June, leading into your birth month, closer towards the end of June and July, you're going through that most tender part of the soul. In the stars and planets and astrology, we call it going through your 12th house energy, where you come face to face with everything that is perplexing and that has the energy of your own self undoing, where all things that have been unresolved are now residing. It's like the dumpster, the garbage can, the trash can, the end of the road thing, where everything that has not been integrated and understood is now residing, ready to be dissolved and sent back into the universe. And if, dear Cancer, at the very core of your reading, the vibe of the reading is heartache, perception or sense or fear of betrayal and loss and treachery, or the energy of struggling to deal with what amounts to a love triangle. Now, this could be with anything or anyone, okay? This is not a love reading, but obviously, with these two cards straight out of the box, the energy of love is very much in evidence here. So, Uh, but this could be love of anything in your life. This could be like the love of yourself, the love of your pets, your friends, your family, a significant other, in the purest sense. And the question is that this, your own heart, is in question here. In other words, it's probable that you have already dealt with a tremendous amount of pain just recently. Deep sense of pain and loss. And it is lingering through into June. And it is coloring the whole month, okay? However, please understand, do not forget, you are divinely blessed. Truly. Just be aware of that, okay? Let's have a look. Sometimes it gets really clear focus. Hold on. This is the new fancy camera. Let's see what happens. Damn, it's not doing it. I like it when it goes crystal clear. But anyway, please understand, with the caduceus here, the old-fashioned, it's a misinterpretation. The traditional one, the real one, has only one spiral snake. But anyway, it's very much about the healing power of love, okay? Love in its like almost highest vibrational form, which is more to do with healing than almost anything else. And so we're dealing literally here, Cancer, with the healing power of love. Okay, the energy of heaven is right in your face right now. All the joys and all the sorrows that come with it in our three-dimensional world. So where are you coming from, having come out of May? Okay, let's be honest, Cancer. Uh, You were very innocent. It might be that you are far more innocent in matters of the heart than you ever knew. And just what's been happening with you recently in the last few months, coming into June, is a stark realization of the purity of who you are and your journey and the bravery of your soul to be able to handle and even experience or even encounter these extreme polarities of how we perceive the energy of love in our earthly bodies. Okay, it's almost like, wow, so there is all this out there. This is real. I know it for a fact. I know it because it has arrived in my life. And yet at the same time, I also know what this energy is like. And how can these two energies possibly coexist? Okay. But, dear Cancer, they do. Okay. And it might be that coming into June, it's just the realization that, oh my gosh, they do coexist. They can coexist. In that, in order to experience love in its purest form, you have to be willing to take the risk and go off into the unknown, into regions of the heart. Uh, Wherever this is happening in your life, it doesn't matter whether it's like a relationship or house, career, job, money, something where the energy of love is most, let's say, activated in your life, in your world right now. Kids, pets, anything. So coming into June, it looks like you're still in this almost like disembodied state where, like, oh my God, what just happened to me? What just happened to me in the last year, the last 2 years, the last 2 months, the last 2 weeks, the last 2 days? Holy jeez. Okay. And honestly, Cancer, having the courage to conduct yourself and carry yourself this way through these highly seemingly contradictory energy fields, and let's say weather patterns, what you have already felt inside of you, what you already know is there for you and with you, it's totally available. And yet, how do you, going through June, how do you contend with these highly, like, seemingly contradictory energies of the same energy, two faces of the same energy? So in the present, you just freaking go for it. You just like say, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I have to be willing. I am brave. I am supremely brave. I am supremely courageous. And I am not going to let this stop me from loving. I refuse. I absolutely refuse to stop this, to let this energy, this fear of betrayal and treachery and loss and damage and pain in my heart. I refuse, I refuse to let that defeat me. I am courageous, I am bold, I am going to move forward with passion, with spirit into my life anyway. I deserve that. I can handle it. I have the strength. And I need to do this and behave this way, not just for myself but for everyone else around me, because we're talking about the energy of love, which typically happens in the context of relationship. Otherwise, in a vacuum, it's very hard to understand the energy of love. So I'm not going to say the obvious thing here. Well, actually, I am going to say it: the fool's journey. Okay, where you're going blind into the world of love, but it's a much higher vibration, opportunity on a frequency coming to you in June. But it's more to do with the awareness of the energy of love, about what is this energy for real? How does it actually manifest and permeate my life? I need to know. I I'm shit scared. I've been absolutely pulverized and crushed before, but I've also had the amazing experience of knowing true love. And so, yeah, I might, if I'm honest, I might have just been living through an awful lot of pain, a tremendous amount of crippling pain. And yet here I am. Here I am, still moving forward. Not only moving forward, but courageously and passionately moving forward anyway. It's almost like Cancer is looking in the mirror and saying, I can't believe this is actually happening. I can't believe I've just lived through all of this and I'm still feeling deeply wounded right now. And yet here I am, bold and courageous, willing to move on and continue anyway, knowing that this exists. All you have to do is know it in your heart, in your mind, your body, and soul, that this exists. And it's like you can handle almost anything. Okay? Doesn't mean you might necessarily have it in your lap right now, but just knowing it in your depths of your soul gives you unimaginable, unmeasurable courage, okay, to keep forward and continue onwards. Because I know, dear Cancers, this is not an astrology reading, but a lot of you have been dealing with tremendous pressure and pain and suffering in matters of the heart and fundamental relationships. That could be relationships with anything: job, career, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, your work, your whatever I said, jobs, your environment, your world. Because Pluto is transiting through your seventh house of primary fundamental relationships, including like the marriage partner and your significant other, but also the significant enemy, like the worst of yourself, like the absolute, the polar opposite of you, the worst it could be. So it is a tough journey, and a lot of Cancers, I get letters, and it's a universal theme. So you're not the only one, dear Cancer. A lot of Cancerians are hurting right now in matters of the heart, and it affects every aspect of their life. But don't worry, it's very evident that just by the fact that you're here at the little tarot illumination reading shows the world and reflects back to yourself that you do have the courage and the passion and the spirit to move on anyway in your own evolution. So moving forward, okay, luckily, dear Cancer, you understand the energy of, like, as you give, so shall you receive, the generosity factor here, in that it's almost like a magic formula. In order to receive love, you give love. And it's almost like going into June, you're getting solid, multidimensional affirmations that it isn't just a myth. It isn't just a bunch of words that are coming out of the tarot illumination mouth, because I'm going to say it right now, like I did before. Be loving, be loved. Be loving, be loved. And take it further. You love yourself first, okay? I am loving. I am loved. 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 And you be brutally, truthfully honest with yourself, and you understand that love you first, and take all that love that you carry and put it out there. Transmit that healing power of love. And guess what? It comes right back at you. It's the energy of giving and receiving. The understanding that as ye give, so shall ye receive. Okay? So sometimes you're the one who's giving all the love. Sometimes you're the one who's receiving all the love. And it's an amazing experience. It's an amazing understanding. It's an amazing awareness when you actually feel it in three-dimensional matter in your body, in your physical life. Okay? And it's in other words, moving forward in June, dear Cancer, like, with all this passion and desire and energy, to find the balance between these two extremes, these two extremes. I hardly ever go back to this card, but you can't avoid it in this reading. I'm sorry, Cancer. It is so evident. Like, finding the balance between these two extremes is going to be happening in June for you. You're going to experience like a learning environment where you will have the privilege of understanding how you can endure this much pain and suffering, and at the same time, this much love, all at the same time, in the same person, in the same relationships, in the same body, in the same lifetime, and how ultimately it does balance out. And there is a way. It's just that it might be a very, very extreme equation as the dear sensitive Cancerian soul comes into that learning experience. But you are very brave, and you are moving on, and it is about balancing, like, let's say, just the shadow side of love with the bright side of love. In other words, if you're brave enough and courageous enough and willing enough to accept and receive this much love in your life, then you must accept and understand that there is the risk of this at all times. But that's part of the human journey. In other words, if you could just go to the shop and just get a pile of this and slap it down and put it in your house and live with it, and it's done, it's just like, what's the point of being here on earth? It's just like, there's no lesson involved here. So we are here to learn and evolve and to grow with each other. This is not a love reading. This is just general the energy about love in your life, okay? The vortex of love. Let's call it like that. So on moving forward, what's a good, healthy way to conduct yourself as you go through this experience? Okay, my feeling on this right now is to understand that you might be actually creating your own problems to the point where it's futile trying to figure it out. This is an energy of futile conflict. This is just conflict for the sake of it. Like if you're in a situation where it appears there's no resolution to a love dynamic in some part of your life, a person or a thing, a job you love, a situation you love, a dream you love, a career you want to have, whatever that might be, as you move forward, a healthy way to do that so that you can come to terms and fully understand like this massive sense of balance and imbalance that is going on inside a lot of Cancerians right now. Please understand that with this energy of futile conflict, it's almost like you're wasting your energy trying to figure it out. It's almost like um, it's almost like my feeling on this is to say to give up trying to figure it out and live through your heart, live through the passion. It's not an intellectual exercise. Love is not an intellectual concept. You can read it about it in books and novels and watch it on movies and TV and Netflix and all of those and Amazon or whatever. And it looks like it's a puzzle that can be solved. So like by the end of the show or the end of the series, oh, now I get it. And then poof, like that's it. But it isn't. It's an ongoing thing. It's a never-ending story. And so if you continually subject yourself to the I don't know, it's like punishing yourself, thinking that you have to figure it out so that you can find an answer. That's actually not very self-serving. My feeling is that in this little reading, the whole idea is to um, abandon. I'm just going to call it out. Abandon this futile conflict. Okay, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it trying to figure out as an intellectual enterprise. It's the way to move forward is to live it. To live it by example. Allow the energies to occur. Allow moments of pain and deep sorrow to occur. Allow the moments of joy to occur and just let them flow naturally. Instead of trying to lock it down as though it's a commodity that you can put in a box. Okay. In other words, let the passion flow as you move through the journey through this month in June, so that when you come into July and your like birth season, uh, you might have a fuller understanding of this, and there won't be because if a lot of this pain and suffering in matters of the heart, if it's a lot of it's in your mind through your own inner conflicts because you're not understanding fully uh, the energy field of love in its purest sense, and truly, how many people really do know what this is? Okay, so it's almost like let it flow. Be willing to allow yourself to continue courageously and passionately into June, and allow these experiences to occur inside of you, the imbalances. Allow the imbalances to occur in such a way that you feel it and you absorb it into your being and you understand it in like day-to-day life, the ebb and flow, the giving and the receiving, the generosity of receiving, the generosity of giving. And give up trying to figure it out as a mental exercise. All right. And so in that doing, what lies ahead? You see, if you keep going, if you push it, if you keep pushing it, you might keep pushing it. It almost becomes too much to handle, and you might want to put it down. Now, again, this is not a love reading, okay? I'm trying to make it clear this is not a love reading, but it might feel, especially as you go through that 12th house type of energy, where it's almost overwhelming. You don't know if there's a resolution. Are you in a cyclical pattern of deep loss, deep pain, and sorrow in matters of the heart, um, simultaneously with deep awareness of love in the purest sense? And if you keep trying to figure it out intellectually, it might end up that your passions burn out and you end up with kind of like a deflated sense of what you thought it all was about. And that could be very, very disheartening. And you could end up seeding this cycle all over again unwittingly. Um, so, as passionate as you may be to try and figure this out and move through it, and that's very courageous, um, please don't turn it into just an unending battle of trying to figure it out, because you might just end up where it's like a lose-lose situation where it's like a burnout, and that's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for anybody. It's much healthier to move on with a kind of a willingness to set it down some of the expectations. You might be so loaded up with expectations of how things should be and could be, and you really, really want to do live it out. You really do want to be that Cancerian, the fully evolved Cancerian in the most important relationships in your life. But you may be turning it into too much of a battle that has no outcome. In other words, it's again the energy of futility can lead to this. So just be careful that you don't want to keep seeding the same um, unresolvable problem again and again. Okay. So what are your hopes and fears moving forward from there? Okay, as you move into this, because this is very, very perplexing. What I feel, Cancer, is that I don't want to turn it into an astrology thing, but because this Pluto thing is in retrograde, there's other stuff going on, but it's very, 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 very tough energy for a lot of Cancerians right now to handle. And so, yes, perhaps the best way to move forward is abandon yourself to it, go blind, be innocent, be pure and loving, and allow the energy to flow. And just be careful of turning it into something that you have to manage and understand and try to make it work in a way that you think it should work. It's not really about that at all. And so there's a tremendous amount of innocence and vulnerability for you, dear Cancers, coming into June, and you're obviously aware of it. So, um, especially if you have a feeling that this might be coming at you, like, oh my God, am I going to just keep losing over and over again, or I just have to keep cyclically just giving up and surrendering and just always ending up heartbroken? Okay, so what is the wish? What is the fear? Hope and the fear that you can figure it out. Okay, okay. So I'm not saying to figure it out in your mind, but as you come through this like awareness and you let it move through your body and let the whole learning experience happen through your body as opposed to just your mind, where you let it move through your whole like physical being, you allow yourself to feel it. You feel joy in your body, you feel sorrow in your body. They're literally like currents of energy. So moving forward very bravely and innocently into June, you allow it to happen. You understand the futility of trying to figure it out. But in the understanding, you understand that you can move on. In other words, you don't have to end up in this energy of futility. Once you come to understand, okay, I'm trying to get myself out of this loop where in your reading, I don't want you to treat June as an intellectual exercise. But as you live through the experience in your body, it will permeate up into your mind and your awakening, your understanding that, oh my gosh, now I see what that guy was talking about. Oh, okay. So it might be like the way to look at it, hopefully, as you move further into June, it's just like an awakening, like, oh, okay. Well, I just have to accept it as it is. And now I understand that. So maybe it is a question of accepting that there is, um, when you do open your heart, you do take on a lot of risk. You are very vulnerable to pain. Now I understand that. I accept that. I accept the duality. I accept the polarity. I accept and understand that with divine love, in its highest sense, that's all there is. But here in our three-dimensional bodies, we can sometimes feel like when things aren't matching up, that it is the lack of love or the absence or the betrayal or the loss of love. And it's good to understand that because it allows you to move on and advance and evolve in your world, but not take it personally, okay? So this is not a prediction that's saying your love life is going to work out. This is not a love reading. This is coming to hoping, this is yourself going through June, hoping that you can come to a full awareness so that you can move on with a healthier, better horizon coming up in July, uh, when the sun actually comes into your sign, so to speak, so you can give up the futile fight here of trying to figure it out and instead just go back to living it. Okay, you own it, you understand, you come to awareness, and you can bring that forward with you into the rest of your journey on the perpetual journey of evolution. Okay, because look how smooth and calm it is ahead, and that's by giving up the fight. That comes from giving up the desire to understand everything completely and instead surrendering to the fact that it is a flow. It is an ebb and a flow, a constant, never ending ebb and flow. And it's okay to live in that ebb and flow and not be disturbed by the currents and the big waves, as disturbing as they may be. So, where does this take you? You see? Okay, very, very courageous, courageously, like it's almost like saying, oh my god, I got through June, look what happened to everybody, I figured it all out, look at this, look at me, I have so much to tell you, I have so much to share, I have so much wisdom and knowledge now because I lived through this shitstorm, and guess what, I've come out the other side, I can't believe it, I hardly made it, I didn't think I was ever going to make it, but look, I did. And it isn't just a matter of the heart. We got the energy of the heart and the love here. It's like, I actually get it. Wow. It's like I could actually write about it if I had to, in ways that make sense instead of just going round in like a daze, okay? Like trying to understand what is happening with all my most important relationships. No, it's about like, it is having fuller understanding, having lived through this gut experience, the ripping apart of the heart and the reconfiguring of the heart, and understanding how incredibly powerful the heart is and how we have immense abilities to heal ourselves and heal each other through the healing power of love, so long as we are brave enough and courageous enough to let the energy flow through our body. Okay? This is a very, very, very brave, courageous reading, dear Cancer, for June. And I know you're going to be fine. You're very, very brave. You're very, very strong. And do tell us all what it's like at the end of the month, okay? Because you're on quite a journey here, all right? It's epic, okay? So thank you, dear Cancer. Hope I didn't talk too much or scare you too much or anything. All the best. Bye.